questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming on infinity diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch alongs to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South they flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes, guys, welcome back to Eagle-Eyed Football, and this is TACT Eagle. Your boy's back. I wasn't here last time. I think Rich that filled in for me?
Yeah, Rich filled in.
But we're back. If you want to see Rich more, put in the comments, and I'll never come back again. But this is TACT Eagle for our upcoming game at home against Manchester City. This is literally the day after our disappointing loss to Bournemouth, so that's probably what's gonna make this TACT Eagle a bit more down than I would say our normal TACT Eagles are. But as always, I am joined here with Mr. Statman Dan. How's it going?
Yeah, all good. I'd say it was a disappointing game yesterday, but we look on to a slightly easier opponent in Manchester City. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm doing okay at the moment, but let's get into. I think it's rude to not even say a word or two about the game, but I was there. I made my feelings very vocal at the end of the vlog. I don't know if you've watched it yet.
No, I haven't had a chance to yet.
But what's your thoughts on that game, mate?
Well, I can only watch up to about 60 minutes, so anything beyond that, I don't know because I didn't see it. Up until then, I thought. Problem is, I think we did have opportunities. Like, I don't know. I think it's better to say we had opportunities that could have developed. Like, I think there was one situation where I think Ebbs probably should have scored. To be honest, when their defender made a mistake, and it was basically him, Mateta, and just one other defender in the box. I think we should have really made that situation count. But also, I just thought like our decision making in like the final third box area was pretty terrible yesterday. I don't want to dig out Eze in particular, but I think he is our most creative player that we've got at the moment. And I think sometimes when he hasn't got someone else like Elise, I think he does overthink things sometimes. So I'm hoping that with Elise back, hopefully that relieves him a little bit. But that was my kind of general feel. I thought we defended all right. But again, I think it's just squad depth. The squad depth is just terrible because from what I could see I only saw it on FotMob, but from what I could see, they brought on like four players who could all potentially have started in their first team, whereas we had to. I mean, I heard that Ozo went to centre back, which is a bit weird, but even still, like we're having to bring on an 18-year-old youth player as one of our main backups. So
yeah, so we did end up playing Lerma at centre back, but then we took off Will Hughes and we put on Ozo, but then even though Lerma was having a good game at centre back, we moved him into midfield and then we moved Ozo into centre back. It just didn't make any sense, but oh well. It is what it is. We lost, but if you look at it, we are still 8 points clear of Luton. I still don't think they're going to catch us, but it's just more the disappointment that's getting on people's nerves, I think.
Yeah, without going into it too much, I did another thread today on Twitter just saying like, what are the chances of Luton actually catching us? Put it this way, they need to win 3 games of their last 7, I think it is.
And that's just to equal up,
8.
Even to get ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, looking at their run, right, they've only won 3 games in 8 once all season, and they've only won 1 game since January. So, you know, for them to turn the tables on their form and catch us, I think would be crazy personally. But
anyway, let's get into the predicted 11. So, apart from Dan's head banging,
no one ever sees that. Only you get to see that.
I mean, we kind of saw the end of it this time, but Maybe next time I'll just throw you under the bus. We'll see what happens. But normally we do go through injuries. So Michael Elise is potentially back. Glass said he might be able to play last 20 minutes, but if like the same thing when he came back last time, if he's only fit for 20 minutes, he's not fit. Don't play him. Apart from that, usual injuries, Mark, Decore, Ferguson, etc., etc. So no point talk about that. However, with Manchester City, Edison is still out. Nathan Ake is also out, and Mr. Kyle Walker is out. 3 people from their back line, which have been pivotal for them so far this season, are all out. So, don't know if that really makes much difference for us because they have got squad depth, just like Bournemouth do. But yeah, do any of those injuries really stick out to you, mate? I think the one for me is probably Walker.
Yeah, I think Walker's the most important one. I guess having Ake also out as well is probably a good thing for us. But like you say, they've got squad depth. They've got John Stones to come in, so
Don't make a difference. Anyway, that's this is what I've gone with. So for Palace, we're going again with Mr. Sam Johnstone. Not Sam Johnstone. I wish.
Miss
Dean Henderson in goal. I think he was one of our man the matches for the away leg, I have to say, which I think people have forgotten about very quickly. The back line will be Lerma, Anderson, Ward, carbon copy of how we set up against Bournemouth, with Mitchell, Munoz out wide, Hughes and Wharton in the midfield, Ebbs and Ayew in the 10s, with JP up top. Dan, do you agree? Do you disagree? What would you change if you want to change?
No, that's exactly what I go for. I think, like you said, I think we played quite well in that formation yesterday. It's only when he seemed to get changed that it kind of went a bit south.
Yeah, and also Lerma's had Premier League experience at centre back before, so I'd rather play him over Tompkins. And to give him credit, Hughes actually wasn't that bad yesterday.
Yeah, I thought he was decent. I think that's the thing with Hughes. I think he is good on the ball. Like he's always been a good passer of the ball. He's just feel like his mobility just lacks sometimes. But hopefully Wharton can kind of cover him a little bit.
I feel like even though it was a very left-footed midfield, I feel like it was very well balanced at some points. Like if Wharton went forwards, Hughes would sit. If Hughes went forward, Wharton would sit. So I guess they had something good going on there, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough for us to win the game. But it was defensively solid, which is probably what matters in this game more than anything. For Manchester City, I have gone with this team. So Gvardiol, Diaz, Stones, and Lewis. I think Lewis is going to play because he scored his first ever Prem goal against us. And Pep Roulette is a thing. And Ake is injured and Walker's injured. So Lewis is probably playing. With Rodri, Silva, and De Bruyne in midfield. With Doku, Haaland, and Foden up front.
Yeah.
Bit of a weird team, I do admit. However, if you look at how Man City play against teams that are lower in the table than them, this is how they play. They play a lot more attacking rather than defending this season. So probably last season, I wouldn't have Silva there, for example. I'd probably have like a Kovacic or something like that. But because of how Pep's new philosophy of playing against lower down teams is to just kill them off with a lot of goals, I feel like he's going to play as many attacking players as possible. But this isn't the formation that I would say that they're going to be playing most of the time. So, like we said, Dan, do you agree? Do you disagree? What would you change?
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair. Like you said, that formation there isn't necessarily what they'll play when they've actually got the ball. Yeah, the only change I might make is maybe a Kanji for Lewis, but besides that, nah, I think that sounds right to me. Whoa.
Yeah, that was a bit personal, wasn't it?
It was a bit invasive, wasn't it?
Yeah, I feel violated a little bit with that. With that, one. It was a bit too close. All right, let's get into the attack. But no wait, let's get into how we can attack Man City.
Oh,
Having fun there, mate.
yeah, of course.
Sure.
Didn't know you could end those early.
Well, you do now. Yeah, but before we jump into this, let's do some comments real quick. Big up, Luke. If you can't beat Forest for sure, then there's no way beating City and Liverpool. We really need a left wing back. Also, commentary's right back would be amazing for us. Should have a look. He's Dutch, something like Mike Van something.
Yeah, I know the guy you're talking about. It's like Ewich or something like that.
It's going to be a bumpy ride till the end of the season. Does lie back and think of England count as a tactic? I think employing Gareth Southgate is a tactic as well. No, at the top of the table, City and Liverpool are in a bit of a goal difference battle, so both will try and put as many passes as possible. Could get ugly. I agree. Could get real ugly. And Monty says 1-0 Palace. I mean, it could get ugly.
The duality of man.
Yeah, it could get ugly. Let's be real. But it could be a rehash of the first time they won, or when we helped them win the league against Liverpool with Istanbul. You never know.
Always possible. Always possible.
The thing is even when we're useless and out, we can always do something mad. It's always a bit of a Palace thing, isn't it?
Well, we did. To be fair, we did draw at their place earlier this season.
We got an injury to Gyro really early on in that game, and Ozo had a blinder.
Yeah.
So you never know. Guys, I miss Malcolm, even though he's not done much. I don't think there's any reason to miss him, really.
I think that's fair.
It's harsh, but it's fair.
Harsh but fair.
Just play the youngsters. What have we got to lose? France is injured. Ozo, Ume, etc. Why not? Mufferin, yeah, he was on the bench for Eze, Ume for Mitchell. I guess that's more attacking for Ume and Mitchell. Mufferin might play, but I'd rather I would rather throw this game and the Liverpool game away and keep Elise on the bench and France on the bench and not doing anything with them at all.
Yeah.
Just so that they're fit for all the other games.
Yeah.
All right. So there is a slight switch up in formations. So something that I despise of very much, which Dan will definitely talk to you about a lot more than I'm going to talk to you about. But Manchester City love an inverted centre-back. I'm not a genius. It's just right in front of your eyes. They love an inverted wing-back. So Lewis would be here, and he'd drop into a space like this. However, if the ball is on another side of the pitch, something else will happen. It will then be John Stones, for example. If the ball's over here, it'll be John Stones. If the ball's on this side, it will be Lewis. So that's pretty easy to think about. If it's on Stones' side, Stones will be in midfield. If it's on Lewis's side, Lewis will be in midfield. Great. What makes City vulnerable in this formation? So what they're trying to do is they've got 5 up front at all times, so you can make. I think with this formation, you can actually make the most triangles out of any other formation known. Really, I think it is because you can make triangles absolutely everywhere. between every player on the pitch. So that's why they play like this, just so you've got as many options as possible. And also against a 4-back, which is what most teams play, you're going to have a man advantage at all times, so you can stretch the play, do what you need to do. However, by doing that, it is a risk-reward kind of tactic. And I say that because I haven't got very much to talk about, because there's 2 ways that you score against City. You're either another big club with top-class players, where you can play around them, score a nice goal. With this team and this injury crisis, that's not happening. So there's no way we're going toe-to-toe with them. So we can get that out of our head straight away. We're not going toe-to-toe with City. Never have, never will. Cool. But one thing that City are vulnerable to is Brexit football.
I think that's why Roy always did so well against them.
If you're not well versed in the culture of Brexit football, let me give you a quick demonstration. Brexit football goes a little something like this. Let's say we have the ball, which is a shock against Manchester City. We have the ball. Let's say Anderson has the ball here. Haaland, for some reason, isn't pressing. So this is a very hypothetical scenario. Brexit football goes a little something like this. Centre-back or midfielder or someone that can pass has the ball. Forward players do a little thing called running forwards. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one before, Dan.
I think I've forgotten it over the last 9 months.
So the strikers or the forwards will do a thing called running forwards, and the person with the ball will kick the ball forwards, and they will run onto the ball. This is something that is absolutely groundbreaking, guys. You're never going to hear tactical analysis like this ever again. But the unfortunate thing is it works. And that's why I'm bringing it up today. It works because they play such a high line. And to be fair, sometimes when they're like this, they actually swap into a 2-back, because Gvardiol is very much more of a left back, like stretching the play to the left, giving Doku another option to pass to. So this is very important, because I'm going to highlight transitions here. Man City love to pass the ball in tight areas. They like to thread the eye of a needle. But you just can't do it for every single pass in every single game. It's just impossible. One of those passes at least are going to get intercepted. And the thing is if that ball is intercepted in the midfield, and let's say it's Hughes, he intercepts the ball from Rodri to Silva, let's say, and he's sitting in this situation. Whether you like it or not, this is a 4-on-4. Very even. 1, 2, 3, 4 against 1, 2, 3, 4. And to be fair, it's even a little bit of an unfair 4-on-4, because really and truly, Eze here has got a free run through. Ayew here has got a free run through, and 2 defenders have got to try and cover 3 different runs. And really, Lewis and Rodri from this situation, they're not really close enough to do anything, and they're not really far enough away to track the run of these guys. So it's a very dangerous scenario to be in. And I say that because how did we score against them at the Etihad? Mark Gay hit a ball over the top, Schlapp ran onto it, took a touch, got away from Diaz, passed it across the face of goal. Mateta was standing there in front of Nathan Ake, I believe. He got in front of him, and then you do what you do. You stay on side, but you keep the defender behind you. That's exactly what JP did, and just basically ran straight into the goal and scored. And you're thinking, oh, okay, that worked once. If you look back, I know it's quite a way back. How did Chelsea beat them in the Champions League? The same thing. I think that their midfielder just basically passed it straight into the open space in behind the centre backs, and Havertz, who isn't the fastest guy in the world, I would probably say he's about the same pace as Mateta, maybe even a bit faster, maybe a bit slower, I'm not sure. Passed it in behind. He just ran around Diaz, took a touch around Ederson and scored. And then look at how we scored from our penalty. How did we get the penalty? We got into their box from the same thing. Mark Gay hits the ball over the top. Mateta runs into it. Foden wipes him out. They don't like defending on the break. And that's something that is very, very clear if you just look at every single goal they've actually conceded so far this season. Every goal has either been a breakaway where they've had to defend against their own goal, and really a penalty. Like, granted, they've only had 5 penalties so far this season, but still, that's quite a lot for a team of the quality of Man City to have Ruben Diaz, who's quoted to be the best centre back in the league by a lot of people. It's a lot of penalties and it's a lot of mistakes. I think they are. I can't. Let me find.
Well, I know a lot of. I can't remember if you said it, but like Ruben Diaz isn't the quickest.
He's really slow.
Quickest guy, and the thing is, like you said earlier, like Walker being missing is such a big miss because he can't. If you have someone quick on that break, if you've got Diaz and John Stones there, they're not the quickest people. And well, if you do have someone quick, I mean, I know we don't have anyone quick, but if we do have someone quick, then you know they're in more trouble.
Yeah, of course. And I can't find it on FB Ref, but I know that they are actually quite high in the league for errors, which then lead to a shot. I think they're like top 6 in the league for that. So like an error will happen in the back line, and then it'll be I think it's an error, 2 passes into a shot. I believe that's what it is, right? It's something like that.
Shot creating action.
That's it. I think errors lead into shot creating actions. It's very high for Man City, like a bit strangely high for a team which is supposed to be the best team in the world. But this is all caveated to the fact that if you saw the lineup that I've predicted, Eze not fast. We saw that against Bournemouth yesterday. He can't run away from Kirkez. He can't run away from what's his name? Smith. Can't remember his first name. Can't run away from Zabani. Can't run away from Lloyd Kelly. Like, they're not slow players, but they're not the fastest guys in the world, are they?
No.
Seta, same thing. Ayew, he's just cardio, man. He's been very poor lately, I have to say. And I think that Elise coming back into the frame is then going to, I guess, boost him up a bit more. And give him a bit more competition to work for, because let's be real, when Elise is back, Ayew doesn't fit into this team anymore, whether you like it or not.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And to be honest, I've been one of Ayew's biggest defenders in the past, but no, I agree. He's been pretty crap recently.
Yeah, and for example, the last 2 games, he's been awful.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, when Elise comes back, his place will be on the bench as depth than anything else.
But really, apart from that, that's all I've got to say to you guys today about like how to attack them. You just go over the top. You try and, when you get a turnover, you've got to try and get that ball over the top, get it in behind as quick as possible. Our front runners are going to have to run themselves ragged. They're going to have to be on it. And the thing is they're going to run hard. And then if they actually get a position to shoot, they're going to have tired legs. So they're going to have to like really dig deep and make a good decision. Here is a time where Eze should look for a pass across to Mateta, because of how they play their. Let me show it on the screen actually. How they play, like this, for example. So let's say they've got their 3 at the back, and then they're running back towards goal. So let's say Evans has got the ball here. He's running. And then you've got JP here picking up one man. Ayew here picking up another man. And you know what, yeah? If Munoz is going to score a goal, it'll be in this game. Because of their 3 at the back, you've always got a man advantage. Look for that back post because there's always a man free back there because even if Munoz isn't here, you could drop wide because he still has to mark this area because they like to zonally mark this area in front of their box. If Ayu draws wide, he's going to be free. Just look across goal, please. And with how slow Diaz is, we could actually have a situation where he's running and Mateta does what he does best, is he actually stands in front of the centre-back. He's strong enough to do it, to hold him off. He's fast enough to get in front of him and strong enough to keep him behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can do that and still stay on side, a naughty little pass in there from Eze, mate, I would back Mateta to score from this situation. I really would with his current form.
Yeah, no, I would too. And I think like when you're attacking, I think like you always like generally in the traditional sense that we know of like how to attack, like you always need like overloads in different areas. And I think against City, that is really the only way to do that.
100%.
Cool.
So that's how we could potentially score a goal. I think all that talk is hypothetical. I doubt it's going to happen, but that's how it could happen.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how we can defend against City's onslaught of attacks.
Yeah, we're not. I'm joking.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. I'm off to work now. See you later. Right. So let's get this up, shall we? Let's get it over and done with. So the first thing I want to say is, okay, there have been 3 games that City have gotten less XG in than the team that they're playing against. 3 games the whole season in the Premier League. Who do you think are those 3 teams?
Arsenal.
Nope, not Arsenal.
So what games they've played and has had low XG?
Yeah, lower XG than the team that they've come against. So Arsenal the other day, for example, they generated 1. They generated 0.7. Not Chelsea. They generated the same, apparently, according to FBref.
I'm guessing one of them is Palace.
One is Palace. Correct.
The other 2. I'm just thinking of games which are a bit strange. I want to say Wolves. I don't know why.
Not Wolves, but you're not a bad guess. The other one was Aston Villa and Liverpool.
Okay.
And against Aston Villa, they generated 0.6 XG, which I haven't looked into it, but that is not a lot of XG for them. And they conceded 2.3. And considering we know how Villa play, I think what JC was saying about hitting them on the break is probably a good idea. But just so you know, that was on the 6th of December, sorry, when they lost 1-0. Since then, they've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games and drawn 4. So they're unbeaten in 14 games. I remember looking into it like a year or 2 ago, and Pep or City from like March onwards is just ridiculous. Like it seems like they always start a bit slow and then they always pick up around about February, March, and they just start absolutely smashing it. And so this isn't a great time to play them, I'm not going to lie. And following on from what JC said, like, yeah, things I might suggest, but it might not necessarily happen. And also, I think the problem is when you play City or any big team like Arsenal or Liverpool or whoever, you always need an element of luck. Like, no matter what, you always... Like, even when we beat them 2-0 at their place, we still had elements of luck. Like, Jesus was like a little bit offside, and had he'd not been offside, then that would have been 1-1, and then we probably would have gone on to lose. So you need that element of luck. So bear that in mind when I talk about this. But anyway, so what does City do? So it's already been alluded to, but they generally move into a formation that sees them have a rest defense of 3 at the back, with 2 in the middle. Generally, so let's put this as Rodri, the most Welsh-sounding Spanish player of all time. Rodri,
I think Dave wins. I can't lie.
Dave
From Aspie.
What? Dave?
Yeah, Chelsea fans used to call Aspilicueta Dave.
Oh, yeah. Dave. Well, anyway, Rodri, he's a very key player for them. Like, what you'll tend to find is that they'll make this box midfield sometimes. See, this is the thing with City, is that they've got so many strings to their bow, they can hurt you in so many ways. Like, the classic back in the day was that they used to get into these kind of spaces here and then cut it back. They don't just do that anymore. So you've got Rodri, who in this kind of position, they'll have their box midfield sometimes. But what he'll also do sometimes is also drop back into this kind of area. So you actually kind of have like a formation a bit more like this. And then you kind of like have something a bit more like this. So like JC said, like they do like to go a bit gung-ho on teams that aren't as good. So sometimes it can look a bit like this. One thing to note, obviously, you've got Erling Haaland. Now, the thing is with Haaland is that not only is he very good on the ball, so if he gets a half chance, he's going to shoot. There's a good chance that he'll score. But also, what I've seen happen is that because he's so good, you'll end up having 2 defenders watching him rather than just one. So he's got that pinning effect that perhaps like a false 9 in the past wouldn't have had. And with their wingers, they like to stretch this play as much as possible. Generally speaking, with their wingers, unless they've got space to do so and they're in like a specific position to do so, they won't really tend to cross. Generally, what their wingers will do, they'll just act as, I want to say, decoys. That doesn't sound too right, but yeah, I guess they are really decoys. So let's say we do manage to face them up, and I don't know, let's say that it's more something like this. And they're trying to overload us here. And let's say Walker's pushed up. What this defender will do, what this winger will do, will be to shift slowly into this direction. So if he moves a bit there, these 2 defenders are going to follow. And then what that does is that it then narrows us a bit more on the other side. So then let's say, I don't know, whoever this is pulls out, or the winger on the opposite side pulls out. What it'll do is mean that they'll then quickly pass here into the middle, and then if they got a chance to thread it through, they will. But if not, they're more than happy to go to the other side. And then when they get here, by the time they get here, let's say this player's moved out to the side, you know, we're going to be moving out to that narrow side as well. So again, this depends a lot on how quick City are feeling on that day. Obviously, if they're being slow and sluggish, it's quite easy to defend against as long as we make sure we're in the right positions. And then yeah, so that would be that's what they do in that sense. Another thing I noticed as well is that so let's say we got so that is really, I should have named these people, but oh well. So normally if it's Alvarez and let's say Foden, they seem to be in quite close proximity to Haaland. So let's say that's Foden. The reason for this is, well, I think it's pretty obvious. Obviously, the closer they are to them, the more opportunities they'll have to bounce off each other. And they're all 3 of these players are very good at doing that. So, you know, a 1-2 between Haaland and Foden there is something I've seen them do and score goals from. So that's, again, something else we'll need to look out for. I guess the way you would do this is the way you combat this is just try and pack this middle out as much as possible, just to try and limit any of these sort of diagonal, limit any of these diagonal passes, or any passes that are going to try and break these lines. That's what we'll need to try and do. And the thing is as well, it's all well and good saying this, but City like to swap quite a lot as well. So okay, you might have a left winger here, but it wouldn't be weird to see Foden out here instead, and then Alvarez pulled over to the side. They like to mix it up quite a lot, and that's what also makes it very difficult for defenders to track them. And I mean, I've seen it even to the point, because there was a famous Pep saying that when they pass the ball, they don't pass the ball to necessarily make openings. They pass the ball to move the opposition around. So basically what they're saying is they're trying to drag these players over. When the wingers got the ball, they're trying to drag these players over here. And I've seen that actually happen to good effect for them too. What happened, it was against Brentford, who had a back five as well. And what ended up happening was it was a bit like this, but then one of their players has snuck in and the winger at the back was there. So what happened was this player here got in between the fullback, and then this player was here. So effectively what you had was the fullback having to defend two players because this centre back here wasn't aware of the player who snuck in. And that's exactly what it was. And all they did was cross the ball in and say, in days gone by, they wouldn't be crossing the ball and they would just try to recycle it. But now they don't just do that. They are happy to ping that ball into the box because of Haaland. And then that's another string to their bow.
Yeah.
Another thing with City as well is not they. I wouldn't say this is like a hallmark tactic of theirs, but they're much better in. I think they're better in not better, but I think they're still very good in transitions. And with Haaland as well, he's very good at making these runs in behind. He did it a lot at Dortmund. He made a lot of these runs in behind. So again, that's another string to their bow. And also again, Foden is pretty quick. Alvarez, whose names I've spelt wrong there. He's not slow either.
Alvarez.
Alvarez. All their players are capable of picking a pass that goes, in between defenders, in between lines, so on. So the question is, what should we do? Well, I think actually we shouldn't park the bus.
Oh, so you want us to lose 5-0 then?
No. Because Aston Villa didn't park the bus. What Villa did is they did what Villa did, and they actually kept a relatively high line and tried to win because like I said, Haaland is good and he is quick in behind. But at the end of the day, as long as your keeper's switched on and you've got someone quick. So let's say that this is Lerma, who I think is moderately quick. I think he could keep up with these three front people here. Maybe Anderson and Joel Ward not so much, so that could be suicide. but then on the flip side, you then got Munoz to cover on this side. So maybe it could well. And again, Tyler Mitchell isn't slow either. He's not slow either. So this is what Villa did. They kept this high line and they basically had. They didn't have a five at the back, but they did have a high line. And what they tried to do is that as soon as the ball, they stood off, and as soon as the ball came into this kind of area, so they had Rodri here, and then their three players out like this. I mean, admittedly, City didn't play that well in what I saw in the game, but it was only really once the ball kind of got into like this kind of area that they started to react. And as soon as they did that, they then started pressing the team and then forcing them to make these like long passes into them. And basically they were just trying to keep them at arm's length. And I think that is what we should do as well, because, well, I don't see why not. Villa didn't have any quicker players than what we had on that. So I think that is something that we could do. Obviously, the alternative is do like what Brentford did. And then they did part of the bus. They basically had like a 5-3 kind of 2 like this. And they just thought they stopped any central progression here. and they force them to go wide and just keep recycling these balls. And again, the only thing is you'd have to just be wary of the aerial threat there. And as long as you're able to deal with that aerial threat, then that would be a way to work as well. Another thing to do is just to, when we have the ball as well, just to be sensible with it. And again, this is what Villa did. Villa had 46% possession against City on that day, which is, let's see, that's the third lowest that City have had all season.
Oh wow!
So Villa were just very sensible with what they did, and they played very well on that day. So, like I said, like if we do say win the ball in this position, okay, yeah, we can look to transition, but let's say that we do get the ball here, and we are like, let's say we did have that position that we were in. If the position isn't necessarily favourable for us, so like let's say we've only got 2 players there rather than the 3 that JC had. Let's say we do only manage to have 2 players there. If we could just keep that ball and try to recycle it, I don't think that would be a bad thing to do. Because at the end of the day, City can't score if they don't have the ball, and that was a thing that Villa did as well. And that is really all I have to say. I mean, like,
would you say that maybe? Obviously, it's a long shot with the players that we've got, but do you think maybe trying to control possession, for example, could be a good way of relieving pressure?
Yeah, no, I think it would. No, that's what I said. That's what Villa did in that game. Just trying to keep them at arm's length. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't not hit them on the counter. Absolutely, like if the situation presents itself to do that, we should do that. But I think when we're in a situation where, let's say, rather than having a 1v1, or let's say they've got 3 defenders back and we've only got 2 attackers going at them. If the situation doesn't present itself, I think we can just maybe take a moment and then, just recycle it and then maybe just keep the ball for a little bit longer. I don't think that would be a bad thing to do.
Well, then what about, in that case, and what about if we have the ball, is City's press good enough to play through, or is that something that we would struggle with as well?
I think City's press would probably. I think from what I've seen this season, I think when we've played teams who have pressed us quite intensely, I think we've lost the midfield battle a little bit under Glasner, and I think City would definitely be able to do that. Be able to press us. It's not necessarily about keeping the ball or controlling the game. It's more about, for me, would be more about just giving ourselves maybe like an extra minute here, minute there, just to make sure that we don't have, we don't give away any unnecessary transitions, for example. Because the thing is, the last thing we want to do is give these unnecessary transitions away to City when the best chance for us is for us to gain defensive overloads by not getting caught out, basically. Like I said, if there is a transition for us available, like if we can counterattack them, then we absolutely should. But I don't think it's something that we should always try to do, if that makes sense. Like if the odds are clearly not in our favour, then I think we should take a moment and then give ourselves like a minute breather, because I think we would probably need that.
Yeah. Score predictions, really?
Go on then.
My turn. Okay. Let me cook. So, I remember last time I said I was going to predict 3-1 to Man City. And we came out with 2-2. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to predict 3-1 Man City and hope that somehow we can get out of it 2-2 again.
Oh, you're a dreamer, JC.
Oh, of course. If I think logically, 3-0 City. That's probably what I'm going to go with for my prediction. 3-0 City.
I'm gonna go 2-0 City. I don't think we're gonna get battered, but I don't think we're gonna. I think it'll be a spirited 2-0 loss.
Mm-hmm. Before we round out, I think there's one more thing I'd like to address just a little bit, and I saw you spoke a little bit about it on Twitter already this morning. Certain people are all of a sudden Eze out, Glasner out after a few games of not winning and what a game of not great performance from Eze, missing some chances. All I'll say is, if you look at every single other stat and even how we're playing as a club, absolutely everything's better under Glasner. And also, have you seen his first 10 games at Frankfurt? What, 1 win, I believe, right?
Against Bayern.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dan, what's your thoughts on all this? Eze's finished, sell him, and Glasner out.
Well, I've said quite a few things on Twitter. Firstly, on Glasner, I think, like you said, I think visibly we're playing better. Statistically, we're playing better. Okay, they've not been the results, and yes, I get football's a results business. But like, look at Luton, for example. We should have been 3-4-0 up, like at half time, really, or we could have quite easily been. Again, Forest, we had an opportunity to go 2-0 up, didn't take it. Even against Bournemouth, I think we're relatively even Steven at half time. I think both teams could have quite easily scored in that first half. I think obviously we've had a lot of depleted resources. I know that was an argument that was leveled against Roy. I mean, I'd argue that Glasser's had a little bit less because I think we've got more. I mean, I know Eze's back, but we've lost Gaiety, we've lost França, we've lost Sam Johnson now as well, where Roy hadn't lost those players. Also, as well, I honestly believe that we could not get a single point in the season and not get relegated. I genuinely don't think Luton, or I think it's unlikely that Luton will actually even get to 30 points, because they haven't averaged that the whole season. So I don't see why they would start averaging it now. And they've also got some hard teams. They've got hard games as well. So they haven't got easy games. On Eze, I saw that stat floating about how many times he lost possession. But the thing is with that is that it doesn't tell you how he's lost the ball, like the important and the importance of like what that actually has done. Like doesn't tell you what that means. Like losing the ball in the 6-yard box to an attacker is a lot worse than losing the ball like at the corner flag of the opposition. So it doesn't tell you anything like that. And those stats also include like any shots that they take. So if they take a shot and it's not a goal, or it doesn't go to another player, then that counts as a possession loss. If you're an attacking player, you're playing in a place that requires more risky passing. So of course you're going to lose the ball more. And also, if you just receive the ball more, then of course you're going to lose it more because you just have the ball more. Like if I can't remember who did, I think it was CPFC Tampa. Very good account, which I always recommend following on Twitter. He gave us a list of the top 10 players with most possession loss in the league. 2 of them were goalkeepers. Another one was like Trent Alexander-Arnold, and another one was like Bruno Fernandes, 2 players who are considered 2 of the best players in the league. So I think all of this is actually, I completely agree with actually Spiritual's comment there. I think some people are just being incredibly dramatic, to be honest. And I think people just need to just chill out a little bit. And then, because for me, what would be a successful end to the season is obviously 1, staying up, perhaps scoring from a corner and not conceding from corners, visibly playing better, and no more long-term injuries. If all of those things happen, I think that's a success, because even before we played Bournemouth, I think it was incredibly unlikely that we were even going to go above 14th as well. So, right, that's my mini. Welcome to my TED talk.
Dan's rants.
Well, what do you think?
I mean, to be fair, I think it's unfair to judge any manager, no matter who it is, on the short time he's had, how he's had no transfer windows, how his philosophy is so different to what we have been playing that it's a complete mentality shift for the players and the club, and that new coaching staff, new everything. And then expecting him to get results when you've got injuries to 4 of your best players as well. I feel like it's just an impossible task to expect wins, and I think it's very short-sighted and very shallow of Palace fans to get on Glasner's back. Because, granted, moving Lerma into midfield to put Ozo back there was a managerial mistake, granted, but I can see why he did it. Because he's played Ozo there against Bodo Glimt. He's played him there in the Millwall game in behind closed doors friendly. So Glasner's actually this isn't no thing that Roy would do where, oh, I feel like doing this today. He's actually tried it and it worked. So he's thought, oh, let's try this again. Because Lerma can dictate a midfield, whereas Ozo's still a bit young and probably isn't at that stage yet. Whereas he knows Lerma can do it. So I can see the reasoning behind what Glasner done, but it turned out to be the wrong decision. But I'm not going to blame a manager for trying something to try and save a game or to try and win a game. And yeah, like I said, trying to expect wins if you've got these kind of injuries, it's just not going to happen, is it? He'll get some wins, granted. He has to get some wins, and he already has got a win. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it, really.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, and yeah, and not, like I said, I think I can't saying about us getting about like our relegation as well. Like, I think one thing that actually benefits us, in my opinion, is that we don't play any of the teams below us anymore, which is, I mean, is good and bad can be good and bad. Obviously, if it's bad if you lose those games, but it's good if you win. So, but the fact that all the other teams have games against teams below us is a good thing, because it means that someone will drop points. So let's say, I don't know, Forest do go to Everton and they do win. Okay, yes, Forest have gotten 3 points, but Everton have dropped 3 points in what was considered a winnable game for them.
They're all going to take points off each other.
Exactly, and I'd much rather that than them all playing teams who are like Chelsea, like the Chelsea, or a Sheffield United, or a Fulham, or potentially like a potential like a Bournemouth or a Wolves or someone like that. I'd much rather than playing teams below, because they've got something to play for. And yeah, I think with that in mind, I think performances are just as important as the results, in my opinion.
Well, I think that allows us to wrap up perfectly, really. Guys, thank you very much for watching. This is TACT Eagle versus Man City for the home game. Please tune in tomorrow for a preview, Friday for Rich's press review. Saturday is going to be the games with some fan cams. Dan, are you there on Saturday?
Yeah, I'll be there.
And guys, remember, please
be there.
Okay. Please put in the comments and on Twitter and whatever what you want all of our forfeits to be if we are the losers of the predictions league, because we've got a few in the bank. We want you guys' help, and also we need your help for the forfeit of the worst guest and the worst person who's in the is in the league as well. So put them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and Up the palace.
Up the palace. Eagles.
Girls.